Yo, what is up, y'all? Today in this video, I was able to add a home title screen and make it fully 3D, including the buttons, the textures, and like 3D animations as well. After a little bit, I was able to get the style right, and honestly, it looks pretty nice. But before that, I originally thought of having it half 2D, half 3D, kind of like I did in my last game, if you ever saw that. But yeah, let's get straight into the video. What is up, y'all? So I started working on the pause menu a little bit ago in the last video, and I had the buttons 3D and all that stuff, and I really liked how that looked, and I was thinking about like how I would do that into the title menu screen, but I didn't really think it looked that good, and my last game mostly was 2D and I thought it looked fine, so I was like, I might as well keep it half 2D and only have like the title 3D with like 3D text or whatever. So I pretty much did that. I was gonna have the title screen, like the title itself, like kind of moving. It was gonna look like my last game, but after a little bit of designing and seeing what it looked like really getting a good valid picture of what it was gonna look like, I realized how lame it actually looks, and that I don't want that to be how the game looks. So I was kind of just looking around the internet, seeing like ideas, like title screen ideas, because I had no idea. And this one that I was making looked absolutely like boring. Like it looked so lame. So I was thinking, why don't I keep the theme of the pause menu? Because I thought the 3D would be like cool as a pause screen, but like everything being 3D would kind of be tedious. But now that I'm like I'm thinking about it, and I'm like that it honestly keeps some consistency in the game, and consistency is pretty important. So I decided to make the pause menu 3D, and I was gonna have like it to be 3D buttons, and like maybe it was gonna be showing like a clip of gameplay right next to it, kind of like with this open space, you know. I was thinking that looked pretty decent, so I started working on it. I started moving the title screen over, I started moving things over, and I was kind of gonna have like a play screen right next to it so you kind of see. And I had no idea what name to choose, but this guy on my TikTok, a random comment on my TikTok, gave me the idea of polybloxing. Please tell me what you think about that down in the comments below, because I have no idea. But anyways, so I kind of chose this blue for the buttons and like the title screen and had all this stuff, and I was like, oh crap, it's gonna be really difficult to make the buttons, because like remember in the last video, pause screen incident. But then I remembered it was because it was actually paused, like the whole thing was paused, and that's really what was making it difficult. So thankfully, making this pause screen was a lot easier. I just had to link up the buttons and the button rotations and like look to the 3D ones, and that's pretty much all I did. Now in the actual script, I knew that having every single button linked to every single pressed, every single mouse entered, mouse exited, that would be insanely tedious, huge. It would add like a bunch of storage to the game if you wanted to ever get it. Like it'd take up storage, and it'd take up processing speed. So I decided, why don't I learn more about the Godot coding language in general? And with that, I learned new methods and things to try and, you know, make the code look nice. And I did that, and I really liked it. I was able to have 2 lines with the only 2 lines of code. I could have every single button in all title menus available change when the mouse is over it with only 2 lines of code. Of course, that was the end result. But anyways, I went through, I hooked up the buttons, play, save, load, extra. I'm gonna have the load button only available when there's like loadable progress, which I'm gonna have later on with a bunch of things, you know. I got all that working, and next up what I needed to do was, well, to fill the empty space right next to the buttons. Everything's off to the side because I plan on having something, you know, something good to look at. And originally I was gonna add like gameplay clips, but I was like, that's kind of you never really see that for a reason, you know. It's like kind of boring just to have gameplay, like to see exactly what you're going to be playing on the title screen, you know. It kind of spoils the game for you. So I was like, hey, I got all these 3D models in the game, why don't I just make like a little kind of cat and mouse looking, like, or like just like some kind of animation or like character animation with your player there, like a loop, like a back and forth loop. So I did that too. I added the 3D models of a few enemies, just two, the flying dude and the small dude. And of course, since your player can pick up the small dude, it's kind of like you're chasing the green dude and then the red guy's flying away. And it's like a really simple cat and mouse thing. And I had to go through, animate the player, animate the small dude, animate the flying dude, just to make it look like kind of bouncing back and forth. And I did that, and I think it looks like decently nice. Like, it genuinely looked like just a casual title screen, you know? And I really liked the result. So that was that. Now I just needed to add a second screen when you press play. So it's like I'm planning on having a bunch of modes. So these are like the main modes. Obviously the arcade version and then the story version. So the arcade version is kind of like there's gonna be like an infinite or like levels and stuff like that, and then probably like a custom, so you can make your own, like, because there's like a mini level editor in the editor where you can like adjust the max spawns and stuff like that. And I could kind of add that, implement it to the game so you can make your own level, but that's going to be way later on. And then there's the player button where you're going to be able to like upgrade your tank, upgrade your player, upgrade your like weapons, your strength or whatever, like whatever variables to the player that I was thinking about adding. I could kind of just put that there. And then multiplayer. I was thinking about multiplayer. I really was, because this game I feel like could be really fun with a couple of people if you guys are just throwing around enemies, and like if there's like more of a goal to the game, obviously, then this game could have a lot of potential in that kind of area. But as of right now, I haven't implemented any multiplayer things, but I think there's a high chance that that's going to be a future thing eventually. So I added all the buttons, I linked them all up, and here's the final results. So you could play, you could go throughout, you could see all these buttons and stuff like that. And the extra button was planning on having like, credits to afford, which that's how you pronounce his name. So yeah, that's how the title screen's turning out. And I also decided to add this kind of like airy jump map, but I really like how it looks with the colors and everything, you kind of having to parkour. The only problem is the tank doesn't match. I was thinking maybe like you could have like a spaceship, so like you're in a third person spaceship, because that'd make more sense, and then you could fly around and shoot things. But then that'd have to work with the fact that most of the enemies are land enemies. So it's kind of like this back and forth thing where it really just comes back to the main idea of the game and what I actually want to do with it. But that's for me to eventually figure out. And I read all the comments, obviously, because there's not that many, and I take every opinion and idea. So please drop a comment on any ideas you have for me to add to this game, and there's a very likely chance that I'll add it, because I definitely need help. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Making these videos and making this game takes a long time and a lot of energy, and that's honestly why I took like a long break. So I'd really appreciate just like a subscribe and a like. I just like show me that what I'm doing is right. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope you enjoyed. But yeah, God bless.